Imagine that when you were born, you were given a suitcase. Into this suitcase, you were taught to place certain parts of yourself: your anger, your sadness, your fear, your unacceptable desires, your selfish needs, even your brilliant, wild creativity that was deemed too much. You learned to lock this suitcase, carry it with you everywhere you go, and above all, pretend it doesn't exist. But it does exist, and everything you have locked away in that suitcase is secretly running your life. It is the reason for your unexplained anxieties, your sudden bursts of rage, your self-sabotaging behaviors. It is the source of the feeling that you are living as an imposter in your own life. This suitcase has a name. In the world of psychology, Carl Jung called it the shadow. And as Jung famously warned, everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. Today we are going to learn how to turn and face that shadow. Not to defeat it, but to understand it. Not to destroy it, but to unlock the immense power and wholeness it holds. This is the beginning of true shadow work. If you are ready to take a look inside your own locked suitcase, I invite you to declare your courage. Write in the comments below, "I am ready to look inside." To understand the shadow, we must first understand that no one is born with one. A baby is born whole. It feels anger and it screams. It feels joy and it laughs. It feels need and it cries. There is no filter, no judgment, no part of itself that it deems unacceptable. The shadow is not a natural part of us. It is a creation. It is the product of socialization. It is the price we pay for belonging. From our earliest days, we are taught the rules of our family, our culture, our society. We learn very quickly what parts of us will be met with smiles, with praise, with love. And we learn, often through a cold glance, a harsh word, or a withdrawn affection, what parts of us are not welcome. So, we make a subconscious calculation, a survival-based bargain. To be loved, to be safe, to belong, I must become this, and I must not be that. The parts we embrace, we develop into our persona. The persona, a term also coined by Carl Jung, is the social mask we present to the world. It is the good daughter, the strong man, the successful professional, the kind friend. It is the curated, acceptable version of ourselves. But what happens to the parts we disown? The parts that were deemed too angry, too needy, too loud, too selfish, too weak. They do not disappear. They get packed away into that metaphorical suitcase. They are repressed, pushed down into the unconscious. And this collection of all the disowned parts of ourself, this is the shadow. The shadow is in essence our unlived life. It is everything we could have been had we not been taught that we shouldn't be. It is the messy, contradictory, vulnerable, and powerful truth of who we are, living in exile within our own psyche. Let's make this real with a story. Imagine a little boy named David. David is born a sensitive, deeply feeling child. He's moved to tears by a sad story. He feels a profound connection to animals. His natural state is one of gentle empathy. One day, he falls and scrapes his knee. He runs to his father crying. His father, a man who was taught that men must be tough, looks at him and says, "Stop that crying. Boys don't cry. Be a man." In that moment, David receives a powerful message. His sensitivity is a weakness. His tears are unacceptable. To earn his father's love and approval, he must not be sensitive. So, what does he do? He packs his sensitivity away. He shoves it into the shadow suitcase. He starts building a persona, the mask of a tough, stoic, and unemotional boy. He learns to clench his jaw instead of crying. He learns to disconnect from his feelings. He is praised for being strong. He belongs. Now, fast forward. David is 35. He is a successful manager. He is respected for being logical and in control. But he feels a deep sense of emptiness. His relationships lack intimacy. And he finds himself getting irrationally, explosively angry at one of his employees, a younger man who is openly emotional and sometimes cries when he's overwhelmed. He doesn't understand his own reaction. He's so weak, David thinks, so unprofessional. What is happening here? This is the shadow in action. This is a Jungian concept called projection. Because David has disowned his own sensitivity, he cannot bear to see it in someone else. The younger man is simply a mirror reflecting back the part of David that he has locked away in the suitcase. The intense irritation he feels is not really about the employee. It is his own exiled sensitivity, his own inner child screaming from inside the shadow, "See me, acknowledge me." Until David turns inward and does the shadow work to acknowledge and reintegrate his own capacity for feeling, he will forever be triggered and controlled by this unconscious part of himself. His unlived life will haunt him. And the shadow is not just made up of what we perceive as negative traits. Let's imagine another child, a little girl named Maya. Maya is born with a powerful, ambitious, and competitive spirit. She loves to lead, she loves to win. But she is taught, good girls are quiet. Don't be so bossy. Let the others have a turn. So, Maya packs away her ambition. She disowns her competitive drive. She learns to be accommodating, to put others first. Her persona is the sweet, supportive friend. As an adult, she finds herself filled with a confusing envy and resentment towards other women who are successful and powerful. She calls them ruthless or selfish. But that envy is a signpost. It is her own golden shadow, her own powerful, unlived potential calling to her. The part of her that knows how to lead and win is trapped in the suitcase, and it is rattling the lock, begging to be let out. Your shadow is not your enemy. It is the other half of you. It holds the key to your wholeness. The rage you feel holds the energy for your boundaries. The sadness you feel holds the capacity for your compassion. The ambition you fear holds the key to your purpose. The work of integrating the shadow, the core of Jungian psychology, is the process of unlocking that suitcase. It is about having the courage to look inside and to reclaim all the lost parts of yourself, the dark and the gold alike. It is the journey from being half a person to becoming whole.
So we all carry this suitcase, this shadow self. And the common, understandable impulse is to ignore it, to keep the lock firmly in place. We think, if I don't look at it, if I pretend it's not there, it can't affect me. But this is the great illusion. The more you ignore your shadow, the more power it has over you. An unexamined shadow does not lie dormant. It runs your life from the underground. How does it do this? It leaks. The contents of that locked suitcase will always find a way to seep out, often in the most destructive and uncontrollable ways. The anger you packed away as a child doesn't disappear. It leaks out as passive aggression towards your partner, as chronic irritation, as a short temper with your children. The neediness you were taught to be ashamed of doesn't vanish. It leaks out as a compulsive desire to please others, to seek constant validation, to be unable to be alone. The sensitivity you were told was a weakness doesn't die. It leaks out as anxiety, as depression, as a feeling of being constantly overwhelmed by the world. And most powerfully, the shadow leaks out through projection. As we saw with David, whatever we have disowned in ourselves, we will be forced to see in others. We create a world of heroes and villains, all based on the unexamined contents of our own shadow. The people who trigger us the most, who elicit the strongest emotional reactions from us, are often our greatest teachers. They are simply mirrors, showing us the parts of ourselves we have refused to own. The arrogant coworker is mirroring back the ambition you were afraid to embody. The needy friend is mirroring back the vulnerability you were taught to hide. The lazy family member is mirroring back the part of you that is desperate for rest and to let go of control. This is what Jung meant when he said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Your triggers, your compulsions, your self-sabotaging patterns, these are not fate. They are the language of your shadow. They are symptoms of a psyche that is out of balance, a psyche that is begging to be made whole. So how do we begin this work? How do we start to look inside that suitcase without being overwhelmed by what we might find? We start gently. We start with curiosity, not judgment. And we start with one of the most powerful tools for shadow work, the practice of conscious inquiry through journaling. I want to offer you the first of 2 practical exercises to begin this exploration. This first exercise is about learning to recognize your own projections. It's about using your triggers as a map back to yourself. Here is the first exercise. I invite you, sometime this week, to think of a person who consistently gets under your skin, someone whose behavior truly irritates or angers you. Take out your journal. At the top of the page, write down their name and the specific quality about them that you find so difficult. Be honest. Be specific. My boss is so arrogant and always needs to be the center of attention. My sister-in-law is so lazy and irresponsible. That influencer on social media is so fake and performs for the camera. Now, underneath that, I want you to take a deep breath, and I want you to ask yourself a very difficult but very brave question. Write it down. Is there any small 1% part of me that has this same trait, or that secretly wishes it could act this way? This is a confronting question. Your ego will immediately want to say, "No, I am nothing like that arrogant boss." Stay with it. Let go of the judgment for a moment. Could your boss's arrogance be a shadow version of a confidence you wish you had? Could their need to be the center of attention be a reflection of a part of you that longs to be seen and acknowledged, a part you've always suppressed? Could your sister-in-law's laziness be a projection of your own deep, unfulfilled need for rest and to let go of control? Could the influencer's fakeness be a mirror for the mask, the persona that you yourself wear every single day? The purpose of this exercise is not to excuse the other person's behavior. It is not to say that what they are doing is okay. The purpose is to use your reaction as a diagnostic tool, to understand that the intensity of your emotional charge is a clue. It is a signpost pointing to a disowned part of your own shadow. When you can see this, the entire dynamic shifts. The other person no longer has as much power over you. They are no longer just an antagonist. They become a messenger from your deep self, inviting you to look at what you have locked away. This is the first step of shadow work, to withdraw our projections from the world and to begin the courageous work of owning what is ours.
The practice of recognizing our projections is an essential, outward-facing part of shadow work. It helps us clean up our side of the street. It helps us take responsibility for our own emotional reactions. But the second, and perhaps more intimate part of this work is inward-facing. It is about turning away from the mirror of the world and turning towards the inner landscape. It is about learning to speak directly to the parts of ourselves we have locked in the suitcase. This is not as strange or esoteric as it might sound. It is simply a practice of active imagination, a technique Jung himself championed. You are using your conscious mind to create a dialogue with the unconscious. You are giving a voice to the voiceless parts of you. This brings us to our second exercise. This is a journaling practice I call Dialogue with the Disowned. I invite you to try this when you feel ready. Again, find a quiet space with your journal. And I want you to choose one aspect of your shadow that you are aware of. It could be a trait you dislike, a feeling you repress, or a behavior you don't understand. Perhaps it's your procrastination. Perhaps it's your people-pleasing. Perhaps it's your inner critic. For our friend David, it might be his explosive anger. For Maya, it might be her sharp-tongued envy. At the top of the page, write down the name of this shadow aspect. My anger, my envy, my inner critic. And now you are going to interview it. You will write as yourself, the conscious I, and then you will let the shadow part answer. Don't overthink it. Let the answers flow intuitively. You might be surprised by the voice that emerges. Let's imagine David doing this with his anger. He writes, David, why are you so intense? You make me look like a monster. You ruin my relationships. Anger. I am intense because you have ignored me for 30 years. I am the collected screams of every time you were hurt and did not speak. I am not trying to ruin your life. I am trying to protect you. Protect me from what? From being a doormat, from being disrespected, from letting people walk all over you. I am the part of you that knows how to set a boundary. You packed me away, so now I have to explode just to be heard. Let's imagine Maya doing this with her envy. Maya, why do you make me feel so bitter when I see other women succeed? Envy, because they are living a life that was stolen from you. They are using a power that is rightfully yours. I am not bitterness. I am homesickness. I am the grief for your own unlived potential. What do you want from me? I want you to stop calling me ugly. I want you to see that I am your ambition in disguise. I want you to let me out of this suitcase so I can help you build something of your own instead of just resenting what others have built. Do you see the profound shift that happens here? When you engage with your shadow in this way, it ceases to be a monolithic, terrifying thing. It reveals itself to be a collection of wounded, misunderstood parts of you. Parts that are not trying to harm you, but are desperately trying to help you in the only way they know how. They are using outdated strategies because they have been frozen in time, locked away from your adult consciousness. The anger is a fierce protector. The envy is a guide to your purpose. The procrastination might be a form of rebellion, the only way your soul can get some rest from the constant pressure to perform. The inner critic might be a distorted version of a parental voice, trying to keep you safe by keeping you small. This dialogue is the beginning of integration. Integration does not mean you let your anger explode at everyone. It means you listen to the message beneath the anger. You learn to access its energy to set healthy boundaries before it needs to explode. Integration does not mean you become a ruthless, envious person. It means you listen to the longing beneath the envy. You give yourself permission to pursue your own ambitions so you no longer have to resent the success of others. You are bringing these exiled parts back into your inner council. You are listening to their wisdom, and then you, the conscious adult self, the CEO of your own psyche, get to make the final decision. This is the promise of shadow work. It is not a journey into darkness. It is a journey to reclaim the lost pieces of your own light. It is the only path to becoming a truly authentic and whole human being. An authentic person is not a perfect person. They are simply a person who is no longer at war with themselves. They have had the courage to unlock the suitcase. They have learned to sit with all the messy, contradictory, beautiful, and powerful parts of who they are. They have integrated their kindness and their anger, their strength and their vulnerability, their ambition and their desire for rest. From this place of wholeness, they can move through the world with a new kind of freedom. A freedom from the compulsive need to project, to please, to perform. A freedom to simply be. This is the life that is waiting for you on the other side of this work. The life of your own, fully embodied, true self. Today we have pulled back the curtain on one of the most profound and essential concepts in all of psychology: the shadow. We have learned that it is not a monster to be feared, but a treasure chest to be explored. It is the collection of all the parts of ourselves we were taught to disown in our journey to belong. It is our unlived life, calling to us from the unconscious. We've seen how an unacknowledged shadow directs our lives through projections and self-sabotage, keeping us feeling like actors playing a role rather than the authors of our own stories. And we have been given 2 keys to begin unlocking this inner world. The first key is recognizing our projections in others, using our triggers as a map back to ourselves. The second key is the practice of journaling, of creating a direct, compassionate dialogue with the disowned parts of our psyche. This is the work. This is the path to wholeness that Carl Jung illuminated for us. The journey into the shadow is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming complete. It is about having the courage to embrace all of who you are, the light and the dark, the strong and the vulnerable, the kind and the angry. It is in this integration that we find true authenticity, true freedom, and a deep, unshakable sense of self. You are not meant to be a curated, two-dimensional version of yourself. You are meant to be a messy, magnificent, and whole human being. You deserve to reclaim all the parts of you that you have sent into exile. But as we do this work, as we stand at the precipice of this deeper self-knowledge, it can feel overwhelming. The sheer amount of energy it takes just to maintain the persona, to keep the shadow locked away, can leave us feeling utterly depleted. We feel a bone-deep exhaustion that no amount of sleep can seem to cure. We tell ourselves we are just tired or stressed or burned out. But what if that exhaustion is not just a physical state? What if that profound sense of depletion is in fact a message from your shadow telling you that it can no longer bear the cost of being ignored? That is the critical question we will explore in our next conversation as we examine the exhaustion that comes from being nice and how to recognize when it is your shadow talking to you. For this week, your invitation is to take one small, courageous step. Choose one of the 2 exercises we discussed. Either spend some time journaling about one person who triggers you, or choose one aspect of your shadow and try to have a short written dialogue with it. You do not need to find all the answers. Your only task is to ask the question, to open the door just a crack, to signal to your own deep self that you are finally ready to listen. To honor this first step, I invite you to share a small reflection in the comments below. Without going into detail, simply write, "I will practice with projection," or "I will practice with dialogue." This is a powerful way to state your intention and join a community of others who are also on this brave journey. Thank you for your willingness to look within. Your wholeness is waiting.